Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Though Santana has wrapped up the championship, the fight for second is as close as ever. 3 drivers sit within 15 points of one another, and they'll get to settle the score here at the Red Bull Ring. Let's see who's got the wings to fly today as we get ready to watch round 9 of the PRL Formula 3 AM Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Red Bull Ring has gone through various iterations and name changes in its history. Let's head to our track guide to see how it looks today. Welcome to the Red Bull Ring. Located near Spielberg, Austria, this track began life in a much more fast and sweeping format. Having gone through multiple different owners, it eventually was snatched up by Red Bull and has its 3 different layouts you see today. While they range roughly between 1 to 2.5 miles in length, the thing they hold in common are fast straights, hard braking zones, and very few corners. In fact, the longest and most common layout, the Grand Prix course, has only 9 of them. Spots like Remus and Gosser are the most popular corners for overtakes, but both involve dramatic elevation changes. Each have their perils. Remus tends to see drivers make contact when the blind cutback often goes wrong, whereas Gosser tempts you into braking far too late, and the downhill nature shoots cars miserably into the gravel. A few swift bends still scatter the track, with turns like Lauda, Rent, or A1 really testing a driver's accuracy at high speeds. However, most of them don't send you off into the grass. Rather, there is a lot of paved runoff. But they often include some nasty curves most cars will want to avoid hitting, as they've been known to damage suspension and under trays. A variety of types of racing compete here, with everything from lower Formula open wheelers to motorcycles, touring cars, and all the way up to Formula One holding events regularly. Set among the gorgeously picturesque Alps, and including great racing on a challenging and history-rich circuit, it's easy to see why fans and drivers are both eager every time they come for a race. Well, DJ, it's not F1 cars, but these F3s should fit right in here. What can we expect?
Well, Joe, we can expect a lot of drafting. That is really the key here around the Red Bull Ring. The best areas for overtaking, well, that's the run all the way from the Niki Lauda curve up the hill into Remus, that kind of awkwardly cambered right-hander at the end of that first long straightaway. We can also see some good fight backs there going down into Schlossgold. You can look for drivers maybe throwing a over-under or two as they come out of Remus. From there on out through the infield section, well, passing in there is for the brave of heart. It's a lot of follow the leader, not enough heavy braking to really get a good pass done, but we have seen some good moves going into Power Horse to try to catch some people off guard. But if you are trailing in that section, you've got to be careful, because that's where the aero wash is going to come back to bite you. And it's also going to come back to bite you going through Rinse and A1, those final two corners. Drivers are also going to have to watch out for off tracks there, as that is an area that is very, very notorious to pick up a little bit of understeer and run wide.
Yeah, there's a few places certainly where it's going to be easy to just test the boundaries of the track, and we'll talk about that limit in a minute. Before, let's talk about how our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it for free now at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
Today's event is also brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
And finally, the PRL Formula Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Now, in the championship, as we mentioned, Santana is officially our champion. He cannot be caught, but look at that between Broomhead and Peterson. Only 8 points between them, and then Coffray not that far behind as well. So second, third, and fourth could all swap around before today is over. Ritters could potentially get in there, but he's quite a distance back. We'll try and keep an eye on how everybody in front of him does, just in case he could sneak a position or two. What about the team's championship here, DJ?
Well, Joe, in that team's championship, it's a little closer at the top, with Leading Edge Racing led by Kevin Santana and David Holland only leading by about 13 points. Behind them, Viking Hot Rod Racing of Peterson, Duhamel, and Olsen. They're looking to try to overtake, with Britannia iSports MRM hot on their heels. Now, that is Broomhead and Scarali. So we'll be doing some pretty fearsome math here over the course of the race to keep an eye on that team standings for you. But in fourth and fifth, it's a little bit of a battle, with God Sexy Power only 2 points ahead of Ridgeway Racing. So that will be yet another scrap to keep an eye on.
Indeed. And well, that scrap is going to take place over 27 laps here today for the season finale. Around 10 out of 10. It is a roughly 40-minute race with those 27 laps. It's open setup as well. And you heard DJ talking about how slipstream will be important, so trying to have that fast straight line speed will probably be a key marker for who does well. We mentioned that the track limits are a concern. There you can see 13 incidents, and they are getting a drive-through penalty. 17, they'll actually be disqualified. The good news is this is a track that actually has a 4 wheels off boundary in a couple places to make it easier for the drivers to tell where to place it. Bonus points could be a factor in deciding that second place in the championship. One of them is the pole position, which Robert Ridgway currently holds, continuing his momentum from last week at Imola.
Yes, he does. He's currently sitting on the top to the tune of about 0.03 of a second over Michael Broomhead. So some definite time coming in there. But as this session goes along, Joe, times are continuing to fall here. Track temperature, though, very, very hot out there. It's 111 degrees Fahrenheit on track with a 12-mile-an-hour wind. So that means two things. There's not going to be as much grip on this track. And with those high winds and the elevation changes here, the drivers could catch some nasty crosswinds as they work along. But let's see if Ridgway is able to improve right here.
It is very tight up at the top as Ridgway comes across, and he does go a little quicker, 1:26.7. Before, he was less than a tenth ahead of Michael Broomhead. Now he's got 0.2 over him. Broomhead and Coffray are quite close, but now we've got Peterson, who just came across, and he moves up into second with a 1:26.8. He is 89 thousandths away from Ridgway.
Yeah, it's very, very close at the top here with Tyler Gore coming in 14th. Not entirely surprising, here comes Broomhead. Broomhead able to improve to the tune of about 0.2 of a second, but that's not going to bump him anywhere, as I think that was an off track. Ooh, it's an off track there for Tyler Scarali. Yeah, because there are so few braking zones around here, Joe, it really will come down to a battle of hundredths and tenths for this pole position.
I think we might see James Carter gain a few spots because he's in 10th right now, and he's about a half of a second up on his quickest time here in this session. 28.1 last time through. As the number 70 comes down to the timing line, let's see if this holds. It's a 27.8, so he was able to make up about 0.3 in the end, but unfortunately he will stay in 10th place.
Cadence Presley unable to improve there. Here comes Kevin Santana. Looks like he's running about dead even of his best time, so we'll have to see how he does. Behind him's towing in Robert Ridgway. There goes Santana across the line. He's going to be unable to improve. Ridgway, though, looking very good there. Brings it down to a 26.3. That gives him about a half-second advantage over the rest of the field.
Whew. He was flying on that lap. Coffray just comes across. That one doesn't count. And Takeshi Kita up into second now with a 26.7. He's still about 0.4 off of Ridgway, and he is ahead of Peterson by what looks like half a tenth.
And Broomhead, he looks quick through that final corner. He's going to be able to improve by about 0.4 of a second. He'll bump Kita and Peterson down as he jumps his way up into second place. There goes Gunderson. That doesn't look like an improvement for him. Waiting now for the next couple of drivers to come across the line. I'm seeing Scarali and Olsen. Scarali, not sure if that counted for him.
Holland was looking quick, but unfortunately that lap did not count for him, it seems. So he will not improve his position. Kevin Santana up by about half a second here on his best time, so he might make a big jump, now up to 0.7 above his quickest 0.8. He is doing very well, and he's already sitting in 7th as we watch Presley unfortunately not have that lap count for him. As we now switch over to Kevin Santana, still at about 6 to 0.7 quicker than he was on his previous few laps. Down to the line, will this one count? Yes, it's a 26.7, and he moves up into third.
But Ridgway responds again, going faster there with the 26.2. He was taking full advantage of the draft off of Kevin Santana. Great job there for him. Manuel Vargas comes across the line. Is this time finally going to stick for him? Doesn't look like it, so he has yet to set a time here.
Duhamel crosses and improves to a 27.6, but will stay in 11th. Tyler Gore doesn't have that lap count. We're down to 30 seconds left. Broomhead not faster. He's got one more shot at it. Gunderson gets a quicker time of a 27.8. He's into 12th now, and Scarali is up next in 14th. He is looking like he's ready to set a quick time. Will this one count? No, another lap deleted.
And Joe, we must have missed it, but Sebastian Coffret able to pip his way up to the top. He's currently sitting on the top of the grid with the 26 flat. Here comes a bear across the line. That will count for him, so that'll get him 17th. He'll have one more crack at the apple. Here comes Cadence Presley. He's had a couple of good runs as of recent. Let's see if he's able to go any faster. He is with a 26.9.
But next up is Ridgway. He wants that pull back, and he's up on his quickest time right now. The checkered flag is out, so this is his last opportunity to try and take it. He absolutely slides it into A1. Did it count, or did he go off track? He's going to cross the line, and it's a 26 flat. That is good enough for pole position by 4 thousandths of a second. Coffret is going to be next. Can he do it? He's not quicker right now, and he does not improve.
No, he got very squirrely coming off of Worth, and that's really what cost him his time. Here comes Dave Peterson. He is unable to improve. That's crucial for that team's championship with Viking Hot Rod Racing right there. Looking at the next drivers to come, I think Joey Tebbin there. Not sure if that time's going to count. Let's see if Broomhead's got anything.
He's looking quick, but no, he had an off track somewhere. Gunderson is also looking fast, but also has his time deleted. Scarali is up next in the number 18. He's on a quick one. He's only had one lap count so far, and it is a 27.1, a fast improvement up to 9th for him.
That's a good job there for Tyler. That is James Holland diving his way into the pits. Here comes David Hebert, currently sitting last of the drivers to have qualified, and he's going to improve a little bit there, but he'll still be a decent ways off of the pace. Here comes James Carter. I don't think Carter has it. Yeah, and he knew it.
That is the end of our qualifying session. Let's go through the starting order here for today. Robert Ridgway is on the pole, barely over Sebastian Coffret. Michael Broomhead will be starting from 3rd with Takeshi Kita in 4th. Kevin Santana, new champion, starts from 5th. Can he get himself another win? Christopher Richards starts from P6 next to him. Then it's Peterson on the inside of the next row. Presley will start from 8th, Scarali 9th, and Holland in 10th.
Lining up in 11th, it's going to be James Carter, followed by Sean Duhamel and Donald Olson, the two Viking Hot Rod teammates, lining up 12th and 13th. Matthew Gunderson will be 14th, and in row 8, it's Tyler Gore and David Blackwood. David Hebert in 17th will be the last driver to have put a time in, with Brett Accord, Manuel Vargas, and Brian Hotham all not setting a time, as well as Joey Tebbin.
21 cars here in the finale, just about have them all gridded up. Once they do, we get 27 laps of racing here for the season finale of the PRL Formula 3 Amateur Series. Just waiting on Holland, Tebbin, and Ridgway. Ridgway was regretting not being able to take advantage of his pole last time. Can he do better this time? Will Coffret make it back-to-back wins here at the end? Or will we see Kevin Santana get back and take his 6th victory of the season? He had a good run through the field last time. Looks like the lights are up and the green flag is out. It was a very good start for 5th place there. That is Kevin Santana, and he's going to try and think about 3 wide. No, he backs out of it into the first corner. Ridgway is clear, almost 3 wide for 2nd place, and Coffret comes out ahead of that one. Few cars going wide at the first corner, but otherwise we are clean.
Takeshi Kita there thinking about trying to make a move on Michael Broomhead, but not doing there. It looks like Santana now starting to pressure, but we've got a battle for the lead. This is Coffret thinking about a move down to the inside. We're almost 3 wide there for 2nd position. Coffret keeps it even. Kita down to the inside. There's contact with him and Broomhead.
Oh, and Kita gets spun around as Broomhead has to try and make his way back onto the track, going very slowly at the front. Coffret not able to get past, but looked strong. He gives another look down into Rauch and decides against it. But he is putting tons of pressure on here in the first lap.
Oh, there was a very aggressive move on Michael Broomhead by James Holland in the back to move his way up to 6th. Coffret there coming through Rauch, putting a little bit of pressure onto Robert Ridgway. We ride on board with that very distinctive pink and white number 28. Oh, and that's Coffret!
Around he goes. He's going to fall all the way down the order now. Takeshi Kita did the same just a bit ago with some help. And Kevin Santana in the first lap goes from 5th to 2nd.
My goodness gracious, Joe. Things just getting absolutely crazy here at the Red Bull Ring. Looks like Broomhead's going to be diving on into the pits to fix some repairs. That front wing looking a little bit damaged.
Not too surprising. Coffret gets it going, but he's still down in 17th, so the majority of the field is now in front of him. Ridgway, who was really challenged on that first lap, now has about a 3-second gap to Kevin Santana, but sometimes the 666 can be quite quick. Can he run down that margin and make it a race for the lead? He's got to try and ditch guys like Peterson and Scarali first.
And Joe, we had an amazing little scrap with Olsen, Gunderson, and pretty much everybody there. Vargas
Holy
as well
cow.
coming off of it. Yeah, they were 3 wide coming down that straightaway.
Yeah, this is for 7th, 8th, 9th. I mean, basically everybody from there on down. It is a mess of cars. Gunderson under attack from Tebben right now. Tebben came in with very little practice into this race. Behind him, Tyler Gore chucks it into Rauch and manages to overtake Carter. But the battle continues between Tebben and Gunderson as we ride on board with Joey.
And that's what I was talking about, that aggressiveness going down into the infield section. Tebben a little bit off the line, tried to go for an over-under, but that corner is slightly off camber, so he lost a little bit of speed. Now you can see him working the wheel, trying to push it a little bit more, catching that aero wash, going wide, understeering off into the gravel. Tebben doing a good job to keep his foot in it. He's just going to have to stay within about 4 or 5 tenths of a second at this point and hope he can be able to get Gunderson on the long straightaways.
Coffret just got Richards. That moves him into 13th. He's a part of this group. So up from 17th, and he might have another one here as James Carter. Yeah, Carter's actually going to lift and let him by. So now Coffret up into 12th.
And that looks like it's going to allow Christopher Richards by him as well. Coffret driving with a little bit of a mission here. We've seen him make some mistakes. Ooh, good move there on Tyler Gore off of the exit of Lauda. Now he's going to be pushing to what will be the inside, going down this sweeping straightaway. He's pretty much already cleared by Tyler Gore. He's just going to have to hold it into the braking zone. Gore, though, late on the brakes, forcing Coffret down onto that inopportune line, but Coffret holds it out and keep him in 11th.
Seb is doing some amazing things. He's made multiple overtakes per lap here. So he is just flying through this field as he might lose one. Nope, Gore is not going to try and pass him back. I think he saw the writing on the wall on that one. Up next will be Gunderson with Tebben in front of him. So he's got a few more in line before he gets another bit of a gap to the next group. Up ahead of this all, I can report that Santana did close down a little bit. It's down to 2.5 seconds between himself and Ridgway.
Did indeed. And now I just want to update our viewers very quickly on some basic championship math here. As we said, Santana's got this locked down, but it was only about 8 points between Broomhead and Peterson, with Peterson currently going around in 3rd and Broomhead all the way back in 20th. I believe Peterson will be able to leapfrog him to take 2nd in the championship.
Another spot for Coffret, as it looks like Gunderson went a little bit wide in A1. This is Dave Peterson on your screen, sitting in 3rd position. Still trying to chase on Santana. Maybe he can be towed along up to the leader, Scarali as well.
Yeah, indeed. We see him. Whoa, that was a good move there by Joey Tebben, working his way around Donald Olsen there. Tebben having a very, very feisty race here, especially as you said, Joe. He was telling us before the race that he really hadn't gotten a whole lot of practice time in.
Let's take a look at the replay on that one. And he just went a little wide there through Rauch, but looks like he's not going to lose the position. So coming up, he just sizes him up. Does he... Oh, he sold him a dummy. Thought he wasn't going to go for the attack, and then at the last moment, just sent that one in, and he mugged him.
Yeah, great heads-up play there for Tebben. There you see he's running wide again on the exit of Worth, but I think what's more important is that battle right behind. That's Coffret making a move to the inside of Donald Olsen.
So Olsen's going to lose 2 positions in 1 lap. Unless he can pull the over-under here. No, doesn't look like that's possible. Coffret is through and into the top 10 at this stage. He's gotten himself into 9th, and we are now only on lap 5, considering he was as far as 17th on lap 1. That is, gosh, he's been doing what, about averaging 3 laps, or 3 positions a lap, rather?
Well, looking at the cars around him, Joe, his last lap, even having to deal with traffic, Sebastian Coffret 4/10 faster than Tebben, 5/10 faster than Vargas. He is one of the fastest cars out on track. There you see him almost trying
Scarali.
to... Oh,
Sorry, Scarali just had a problem. He is off the track right there at Remus. Almost looks like he may have beached it. Hopefully he didn't. Can he get going? He's got to wait for a gap, and it's taken him a long time to find one. He's now finally got it. There is the end of the incident, and there's nobody around him, so that might have been his own doing.
all right, so here he comes diving down into it. I think he just got, oh, he took a big clip of that curbing, was on full power at that point. That lifted that left rear tire, and when it made contact, it overcompensated and spun him around, Joe.
Those curbs are nasty around here. That they mess with the F1 cars, and the F3 are no exception either. As you see, Scarali still out there, but unfortunately down in 17th at this point. So another couple spots for Coffret up into 7th position. Ridgway setting another fastest lap up at the front of the field. He's got it up to 4 seconds ahead of Santana.
Yes, he does a very commanding run, but there goes Coffret with the fastest lap of the race as he tries to now catch down on Manuel Vargas ahead of him. He's been able to get that gap down to about 1.6 seconds. Vargas, in turn, getting pretty close to Duhamel in front of him, so I think once Coffret catches that, it's going to be on.
Certainly. Another driver that's trying to make a comeback is Takeshi Kita, but he's got Brett Accord all over him in that 12th position. This is coming through Remus right now. They're just behind a battle between Gore and Gunderson as well, so mid-pack giving us plenty of action. And there you can see the two pairs coming down the hill. Looks like nobody going to try and duck their nose in at this stage. So they'll stay single file. Are we finally getting things calming down a bit?
Seems like we are. A little bit of that aggressiveness from the top of the race. I think drivers wanting to settle down a little bit, chill themselves out, be a little bit more relaxed here, maybe starting to think a little bit about fuel strategy as we get on with this race.
For those of you who are just tuning in, Takeshi Kita had an incident on the first lap. We might have a replay of that if we want to show exactly what put him in this situation here. 64 trying to get back to where he began this race, which was 4th place, and he's got a lot of spots to try and overtake. Here it is right here. You're going to see Broomhead make a little bit of contact with the gearbox of that car.
Yeah, Kita just gets a little bit understeery there. Car runs wide out, and he and Broomhead come together, and that obviously forced Broomhead to come through the pits, and what's forced him down all the way into 20th.
Glad that car was able to keep going and he didn't have to make an extra pit stop there. May have a little bit of damage to repair when he comes in, but we'll see if that slows him up. In the meantime, look at him really joining this train. It's now 5 cars, and at the front of it is Olsen in 9th.
Yeah, Olsen there, remember, it's very crucial for him, Viking Hot Rod Racing. He wants to get those points and get him his ways up there. But there you see the 33 of Gunderson and the 7 of Gore really blocking things up. Watch for Takeshi here, though. Takeshi, always a very aggressive driver, has some great racecraft. Wouldn't be surprised if he's able to throw a move or two here soon.
On board with him, looking over his shoulder, shoulder coming out of Vert up to Rent. Don't think he's quite close enough. If he gets a good exit out of A1, he can maybe set himself up for Lauda. And look at how strong he is into the corner, maybe too strong. Goes a bit wide, but that should be within the boundaries.
Yeah, I remember that 4 off the track rule, but it did look like he lost a little bit of ground. That may give Gore a bit of an opportunity there to Olsen ahead of him, potentially, if he's, or Gunderson rather, up ahead of him. Ooh, bad run through the corner there for Tyler Gore. Takeshi Kita knows it, pokes his head out to try to time this draft just right.
As that's happening, Coffret just easily went by Duhamel. That was an easy pass. He basically let him through over the radio, but Kita down to the inside, Gore to the outside, someone going wide in front of him. That's Gunderson, and Kita is going to be able to get the spot. Will we also see Brett Accord get this one? He's side by side to the inside, trying to take advantage of that little slip up from Gore. It's a Latest of the late breakers situation down into Rauk, and Gore goes way too wide. He almost goes into the kitty litter. That's going to be the spot to Brett.
Yes, it is. Some good tenacity there from Brett Accord to be able to work his way forward. Gore gonna be a little bit angry about that. We'll have to see if he's able to recover. It was just a mistake that cost him. His overall times are better. So as they continue to run here, watching it go through there of that winding section, that's Joey Tebben leading ahead of Olsen. Tebben's got about a gap of 2.5 seconds.
Already on lap 9 of this event. So we're a third of the way through. The pit window should be open. Coffray, I mentioned, just getting Duhamel's already got it down to about a second behind James Holland. Remember, Seb started this in second place. He's back up to 5th. So he's just about to where he began. And he's actually 14 seconds behind Ridgeway. He's running pretty good pace. I wonder what their lap times are like comparably.
Well, looking at their last one, it looked like Coffray was able to run a 27 flat with Ridgeway running a 26.7, but Coffray still holds the fastest lap of the race with 26.2.
Wow, he is gaining time hand over fist. It's down to 4/10 to James Holland now. We hop on board with Sebastian as they come into Power Horse, and Holland, you can see him there just over the steering wheel as they get ready for vert. Difficult uphill corner here, and he sees a bobble from the 2 car. He tries to hold defensive. Will this allow Sebastian Coffray through? He is going to allow Sebastian Coffray through as he lifts.
All right, so discretion proving the better part of valor. That's Coffray back up into 4th. Now he's going to have a big run to try to catch up to Dave Peterson to the tune of about 8 seconds. But with 17 laps to go, he's got a shot at it.
Holland must have something wrong with him because Duhamel just went by him as well as there was another lift. So James not really fighting drivers. Wonder if he got a little bit of damage and he just doesn't feel it's worth trying to lose time bickering with them. There you can see the 617 already in front of him into 5th.
Yeah, catching up behind him. Holland doing a pretty good job here to keep up. That's going to really help him and that leading edge racing team in their battle to hold on. Oh, no. We've had an accident. That looks like Kita and Gunderson.
For the second time this race, Takeshi Kita is unceremoniously shoved off in Remus. And once again, it's a car getting into him from behind. That was Gunderson there, just touching the back. So Takeshi's probably not too happy about today. I think twice he has suffered the misgivings of other drivers.
Yeah, it just looks like he's struggling a little bit, carrying too much speed up through Remus, and that's caught him out a couple of times. This now puts him back down into 15th. That's Tyler Scarali right ahead of him.
And back down the order for him as we take a look at 5th place between Duhamel and Holland. James starting to fall off a little bit, and Vargas now getting closer. We're going to lose another position for the number 2 car. Wonder if this is just Vargas, or excuse me, Holland rather, being a little bit out of position, because he did start in 10th and he inherited a few of these spots. So maybe that's why he's not fighting too terribly hard, knowing he's still on a net gain from where he gridded up.
Yeah, indeed. And wow, as he almost gets back into the back of James Holland there. That was very scary coming up through Remus.
Vargas giving all of us a scare there. And up and over the crest, back down the hill. Manuel not close enough to attack this time. Maybe he wasted the opportunity into Remus in the last corner. Ooh, much better exit though compared to James Holland. Holland stays to the inside, but once again, he lifts the throttle and Vargas is now through. So Holland down to 7th. He can't keep giving these away or will be back to 10th. In the meantime, the next one up for him, how about this? Joey Tebben, who could not get a qualifying time down, has gone from 21st to 8th.
That's a really impressive ride from Tebben, and frankly, something we've kind of come to expect out of the GSRC commentator. And yes, we are a little bit biased in that regard, but he's driven a lot of races this year where his qualifying pace hasn't exactly been stellar, but a lot like Takeshi Kita, he's just been able to claw and fight his way up through the field, as we've got a pit stop here, Joe, in the form of James Holland.
And an earlier one too. So this tells me that James Holland probably was dealing with some sort of damage that was hurting his pace. As we continue to ride on board with Joey, who will be promoted to 7th now by that pit stop. Just kind of cruise along up 2 seconds down the road. That is Manuel Vargas in front of him. Takes a lot of curb there on the inside through Remus in the meantime.
Yeah, it was a big chunk of it there. Still trying to chase down Vargas, but he was marginally slower than Vargas by the tune of about 0.06 of a second on that last lap. So they're pretty evenly matched here. Biggest problem for Tebben is that he's not going to have any real benefit of the draft. So trying to pull off an overcut here may be a little bit difficult.
So where are our championship contenders for second at this point? Broomhead and Peterson. Peterson's in third. Broomhead, obviously, with his problems, he's probably going to be jumped. Then Coffray is right behind Peterson, but Coffray, I think, has a lot more to make up to Peterson. No, he only has 7 points to make up to get to Peterson.
Yeah, he does. So those championship implications coming into play here a little bit. We'll have to see how it plays out. Remember, we have seen races and championships absolutely thrown away here, Joe, at the Red Bull Ring. It can be very, very tricky. Don't forget, as these drivers go into pit lane, they've got to make that commitment early. We've seen drivers get caught out with an unsafe pit entry, and it has cost them a race.
As we hop on board with Sebastian, for him to be able to overtake Peterson, obviously has to outscore him by 7 points or more, and that would require him finishing first and Peterson finishing in fourth without any bonus points being taken into account. So it's not looking totally likely, but don't count it out quite yet.
No, not yet at all, as we are just about to cross over here in the halfway point. Continue to ride on board with Sebastian Coffray as he tries to reel in Dave Peterson. He's done a great job of it thus far. Coffray knows what he's got to do, and he is just absolutely pushing that pink and white number 28 to the limits of the track.
Really, as you saw him out of A1 there, nearly go completely out of the boundaries, and car getting a little bit loose in the process. Let's see how he does through Laude. Can't really go wide there. Look at that curb. Oh, but he does anyways, and actually rides across the curb like a toboggan. Thankfully, he's not going to feel that on the bottom of the car like he would in real life, but he has to be careful that he doesn't damage it.
Yeah, he does. These cars are susceptible to some under tray damage if you're not careful. Also, we haven't really talked about it too much, but the suspensions on these cars can be a little bit fragile. And so if you are too aggressive with those big yellow sausage curbs, whoo, you can find yourself with a very broken car.
Takeshi Kita pits, so does Christopher Richards. Highest pitter right now still James Holland, who is now promoted to 15th. Because of those couple cars coming in. Kita in and out with a pretty quick stop. So he'll return in 16th position.
Oh, Joe, we've had a big kerfluffle in the back. That's Gunderson Accord just at pit exit. I'm not even sure what happened, but smoke and cars all spun around.
That was actually Remus, I think. It was 2 separate incidents. Gunderson is going to spin. Accord is going to spin. And then poor Brian Hotham comes upon all the smoke and has to really slow up. Here's Gunderson first, all on his own, just gooses it too hard. Then Accord behind him does the exact same thing. And that is Blackwood and Hotham having to tiptoe past.
Yeah, and you saw there, I think that was Accord having to take a big jump over the curbs to get it around. Whoa, kudos to David Blackwood there, getting that car up and around that accident and not getting collected by it.
Not supposed to see the whites of the eyes of your competitors in racing, and he got certainly a face full of the car facing a wrong way on the track. The 75 still continuing on in 12th, having gained 2 spots from that incident. Looks like Gunderson's going to pit this time. Boy, Remus has been calamity corner for poor Matt Gunderson. 2 contacts and now a spin.
Yeah, it's really not the corner he'd like to come back and revisit, and I'm sure he's going to be happy to have the week or so break after this week is done and dusted. As we continue to follow here the 75 as he works his way around David Blackwood, able to avoid that crazy incident that we saw. But yeah, as we've got a couple more drivers coming in and out of the pit stops, I see Matthew Gunderson coming in, still waiting for a lot of our leaders as they are working here on lap 15. I would imagine we'll start to see everybody come in probably no later than about lap 20 to 22.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Not seeing any of our leaders ducking down into the lane right now. We take a glance at Kevin Santana, still in second place, but nearly 6 seconds behind Robert Ridgway. Looks like Coffre, who is 2 spots behind him, may have kind of evened out. Even though he qualified in second, he's gotten up to 4th and is not gaining on Peterson as quickly as I would have expected. Checking to see what the last few laps have been like. You know, I take that back. Last lap, he was 0.8 of a second faster. Holy cow.
Yeah, Coffre definitely pushing it, and he's consistently setting green sector times for himself. Peterson doing a pretty good job to try to keep up there as well, but Coffre really trying to push here as much as he can. You see him run down through the gears there, through Rauch, and make his way down into Worth. Just trying to run that car, not going too wide on the exit. That's a good run there for Coffre.
Brian Hotham just completed his pit stop. He's back out in 15th. Still James Holland, the highest up driver to have completed his fuel and tires for this race. And he's sitting in 12th. He was racing in, I think, 6th or 7th when he came in. So we'll see if he returns to that position. He certainly wasn't shy about giving positions away. And Coffre just set the fastest lap of the race, the first driver to break under the 26-second mark. And boy, did he break it. It was a full 0.2 faster.
Yeah, and most crucially on that, he was about a full second on that lap faster than Dave Peterson. So Coffre definitely starting to try to put the screws here to the number 35 for that final podium spot.
He's also faster than Santana in second and faster than our leader consistently. So he is closing in on Robert Ridgway. The unfortunate news is, considering he's got to battle with 2 cars before he even gets to Ridgway, I don't think he's got enough time to close the gap to the 17 car.
Yeah, I don't think he does either, but with the lap times that I'm seeing out of some of these drivers, he may have a chance to be able to catch up to Peterson, maybe Santana. The one caveat to that is going to be is the track temperatures are still holding at about 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and I do worry about with him setting those fast of times and pushing as hard as he is, I do worry about him overcooking his tires, but Ridgway is into the pits. Our leader is in.
Robert Ridgway had a bit of a slow pit entry as well. Santana's going to keep going. Peterson will as well as Coffre. Duhamel's not coming in. Oh, and Vargas wanted to pit. Vargas wanted to pit, and he missed the pit entry. He slowed himself up, allowing Joey Tebben to get ever closer to the back of that 22 car.
Well, and I wonder if that's going to have dire consequences for him. He may have underfueled the car a little bit at the start of the race, and so that may come back to bite him if he's going to run out of fuel on this lap if he wasn't able to get it in.
And bad news for Ridgway. He's going to come out right behind that battle. There you see Tebben getting a slipstream on Vargas. He's going to look to the right-hand side. He's got it open. Can he outbrake him into Remus? It looks like he can. Vargas maybe with an over-under. No, it's not there.
That was really a gorgeous pass there from Joey Tebben, just getting that car perfectly positioned at the apex, using the bump on the curbing to rotate the car. We ride on board here with Robert Ridgway. He's got that battle ahead of him. Whoa, that was a late move there from Vargas, trying to scare Joey Tebben off of the corner of Schlossgold.
Nothing doing, though. Tebben's going to hold on to that 5th place. And Vargas has got to be kicking himself. If he hadn't have slowed down trying to make that pit entry, he wouldn't have been in this position. Now he's going to have to deal with Ridgway probably approaching him relatively quickly. Down to 10 laps to go, unless Vargas goes in this time himself. Let's see. Heard someone come in. That looks like Dave Peterson is on the lane. And this time Vargas being extra careful to make it into the pits.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if that costs him a little bit, if Tebben is maybe able to get things wound up a little bit easier to come down pit lane. Keeping an eye there on Dave Peterson. Well, he will come out in regards to everything. Looks like we're still waiting for him, but Tebben now just trying to hold out. There is Peterson. He is going to be released and on his way. Pit stop of about 4.5 seconds. That'll see him come out in 6th. He'll be behind Ridgway, and that is going to be his teammate, Donald Olson, right behind him.
Most of the drivers looking like they are getting in sub 5-second pit stops. Ooh, Vargas has a long one too. Don't know why, but Manuel Vargas is in his pit stall for a full 21 seconds. He is going to fall down multiple positions from this one, and I have to suspect it's in the realm of probably 6 or 7 spots.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt him, but that's going to be news to the ear of Joey Tebben. He's not going to have to worry about an overcut coming back to bite him. Keeping an eye here on our provisional leaders, it looks like Santana is in the pits, waiting to see about Coffre. Coffre is in as well.
Duhamel is now coming up to the pit entry, but he goes very late. Oh, I don't know if that was going to count as a safe entry. Duhamel might see a penalty here. We'll have to watch for that. Joey Tebben, though, keeps going. Not only is he quick today, but he's light with his right foot.
He is indeed, and as you said, with Duhamel on that pit entry, you can get penalized for that. Looks like Santana is already back and on his way, but let's go back and check out that replay of him coming in.
It looks like we won't be able to get that, sadly, so I can report Duhamel, no penalty. 5.1 pit stop time. He's back out and rolling. Looks like Coffre, Peterson, Santana, Ridgway already passed him. Where is Duhamel going to re-enter? Looks like about 7th spot.
Yeah, so that's where he'll slot out. Now, crucially in this battle, we talked about the charge from Sebastian Coffre. Now that both he and Peterson have come in and out of the pits, it looks like Sebastian's been able to cut that lead down a little bit. At least he did when they came out. It's now back up to about 3 seconds or so.
And we do have an unsafe pit entry for Donald Olson. He is serving that right now in his pit stall. And it looks like it is a doozy. He's already up to about 40 seconds sitting there stationary. But Joey Tebben, briefly our leader up at the front. Is he going to be pitting in? And ooh, wow, he had a scary moment there where he disappeared and the leader just about got into the back of him. Thankfully, no contact between himself and Ridgway, and Tebben is now on the lane.
All right, so hopefully he'll be able to avoid that accident, that pit lane's penalty as well. Robert Ridgway going to retake the lead of the race. There's Coffre going very wide, coming out of A1. Tebben falling down the order as expected to do. He is now out of the stall as James Carter comes into the pits behind him. But where would Tebben come out in regards to Duhamel? That's going to be the question. I think it's going to be a little bit close.
Duhamel just went by him. We're watching Coffre on the screen right now. It looks like Duhamel will be ahead of Joey Tebben. So Joseph is in 6th position, Duhamel in 5th. That's everybody stopped now. Everybody has been in and out of the pit lane.
All right, so with 7 laps to go, this is the order as it stands. The leaders pretty well spaced out here, each to the tune of about 4.5 seconds, with Ridgway continuing to lead Santana and Peterson. Coffre's been able to get the gap down to Peterson to about 2 seconds at this point, so he'll be happy about that. Tebben only about a second behind Duhamel.
Duhamel's really our first big gap amongst the leaders. It's about 12 seconds from Coffre to Sean. And like you said, Tebben very close to Sean as well, as we see Ridgway come around and cross the line. This lap, a 26.8 compared to Santana behind him. He is going to run a 27.4, way off the pace compared to Ridgway. But Peterson going to do a 26.9, and Coffret a 25.9, another full second faster.
Sebastian is on an absolute charge here. He's got the gap to about 2 seconds as they make their way onto the straight. And I've got to say, I would be very, very scared if I'm Dave Peterson, because I know when Coffret is able to tuck that car up behind the rear wing, it's got some speed, and he's going to be coming on like a train with a full head of steam.
It's like looking last race's finishing, or well, story really in general, in the mirror. It was Coffret who managed to take the victory as Ridgway fell backwards with an incident at the start. And this time it was Sebastian on the first lap who found himself under the gun and has to try and come back. Ridgway instead looking to take the win, and I think it'll be his first win. Yes, his first win of the season.
Well, that will be a feel-good story if he's able to get it. We keep our eyes focused on Coffret and his chase. He's got it down to 1.5 seconds as they leave the infield section and go through those final 2 corners and to cross over the line to take 5 laps to go here at the Red Bull Ring.
Certainly wheeling this car right up to the limit here onto the front stretch. Peterson this time, 27.1. Coffret, 26.4. Another 7/10 taken off. And he is now down to 1.4 seconds behind. That rear wing is getting bigger and bigger in his view.
Yes, it is, and I would expect it around 9/10 is when he's really going to start to feel the pull of the draft. He'll be starting to get just a little bit of it at about 1.2, but not enough to really make it. A little bit off the apex there for Coffret, but that is a pretty good line through that corner. You normally don't want to come down and clip that apex curbing as it can upset the car. You don't want to do that unless you're really going for an aggressive overtake.
Good news for Peterson is he can let Coffret by and does not have to worry about being overtaken in the points championship. There's not enough of a separation between the 2 positions, even with bonus points, for him to be moved out of that 3rd spot in the championship, which actually I think will wind up being the 2nd spot in the championship. Where is Broomhead? Yeah, Broomhead's still in 18th.
Yeah, so that's what that will break down to. Also, in terms of the team's championship, just a quick calculation on my part. I think at this point, Leading Edge Racing will be able to hold off Viking Hot Rod for that 2nd place position as of right now. And with the bad run from Michael Broomhead, it looks like Britannia iSports will not be able to overtake him as well. So they will stay the same way they did coming into the race, with Leading Edge Racing taking top honors, Viking Hot Rod 2nd, and Britannia iSport MRM in 3rd.
So here's the situation then on that 2nd position battle in points. Peterson will overtake Broomhead for 2nd, but it is questionable whether Coffret will or not. And that may depend on whether or not he can overtake Peterson, which might mean that Peterson is the one who might not overtake Broomhead. So as we watch him in these final 4 laps, it's going to be a nail-biter if they want that 2nd spot, if they want to try and get that best of the rest claim.
Indeed it will. Ooh, Tyler Scarali coming into the pits here. Some problem there with the number 18 machine. That's a drive-through. That is a drive-through for excess track limits.
Oh, late in the race, just couldn't keep it within the boundaries. As Peterson now within about half a second of Coffret through Vert and coming towards the last 2 right-handers of Rent and A1. We're getting flashes in front of them of Kevin Santana, but he has been running consistently quicker than Dave Peterson. As a little wide goes Sebastian Coffret. I feel like some of these other drivers also will need to worry about that incident limit here. That could put Coffret under the gun. He can't really make any crazy dives or risk getting a drive-through penalty.
For sure, Joe. It is definitely a track to do that. Oh, that was a big hop onto the sausage curb for Dave Peterson. That's going to cost him just a little bit of time. Car's starting to climb up to speed at this point already. Coffret's got a speed advantage. He's in the full toe of the draft. That is Peterson trying to go defensive. Coffret's going to go around the outside. Peterson has him covered. Coffret tries to carry momentum. Gets a little bit more of the draft as they go down this 2nd straightaway. Coffret is not done yet.
He's got the speed. He used that little bit of slipstream as they come down into the steep braking zone. Peterson once again covering off the inside. Will he be able to keep that defense clean? He gives him lots of space around the outside, but Coffret can't get through. He has another shot here, possibly into Power Horse as he chucks it in. He's got a nose ahead, but it's not done yet around the outside. Once again, Dave Peterson not giving up. Can he complete the defense through Vert? It looks like he will. I can't believe he's still in that third spot.
Oh my goodness gracious, talk about some great gutsy defending there from Dave Peterson. Now sliding over to cut off any attack through Rit. That's a very hard corner for anybody to get an attack on. Now they come down here through A1. Coffret's just got to keep this nice and close behind him, and indeed he is. He's already up the gearbox. Jinx to the inside. He's going to have a look down into the inside of Lauda.
Just missed the apex there in that last corner. So unfortunately for Peterson, this might be job done for Sebastian Coffret. Goes a little wide, but he holds it within the track boundaries. Now he's going to give the tow right back to Dave Peterson. Does Dave go for the move? He's going to have to go around the outside once again as Coffret defends the inside line into the corner. He's very shallow into the turn, way too shallow. And here comes Peterson back at him.
Contact between the two there. You saw Peterson's car go up into the air. I'm not seeing any discernible damage on either of them, but I definitely think it cost Peterson a little bit of speed. So with 2 laps to go, Coffret is ahead, but Peterson certainly close enough to keep this competitive as they dive down through the Schlossgold. Now Coffret trying to start to stretch his legs a little bit. He's already pulling away through the infield.
Unbelievable stuff here from Sebastian Coffret. All this just to get back to the podium. This might be the last of his climb because it's now 6 seconds up to Santana. And Ridgway is actually taking the white flag right now himself. So the final lap is on its way, and Robert Ridgway is on his way to his first victory here in Season 3.
Indeed, he is. A great run from Robert Ridgway. You saw him there putting Michael Broomhead a lap down, adding a little bit of insult to injury on what was a very, very tough day for the number 5. But I've got to say, I admire his tenacity and his pluck, him getting back out there and just trying to salvage any points that he could.
So the 17, watching him go through Remus. That's Michael Broomhead behind him, who ironically would have been behind him in the point standings, but will for sure lose that here. But the question is to who. Currently, it appears to be Sebastian Coffret, who is going to score 30 points at the least compared to the 13 that Broomhead will. Excuse me, 15 that Broomhead will. He is up to 16th place now.
Yeah, so that is definitely going to bump him down the order. We continue to watch our leader, Robert Ridgway, making his way through the infield one last time.
Ridgway up into Rent. He may not have taken the championship, but at least he got a victory in there before all was said and done. And this sets the tone for next season for him, as Robert Ridgway comes to the line and wins the season finale in the PRL Formula 3 Amateur Series. Santana is going to get another second place, with Sebastian Coffret somehow climbing back into third, potentially into second in the championship, and Peterson finishes 4th.
Jumping back here, this is Sean Duhamel narrowly ahead of Joey Tebben. Tebben running very wide there through the exit of Rent. Tebben driving a great race here, climbing up 15 positions. He is our hard charger, but he's not able to get that last one away from Sean Duhamel. So Duhamel 5th and Tebben 6th.
And that's the last of our battles, as everybody else is cruising across the line. 15 drivers on the lead lap here today of the 21 starters. We're going to take a quick break, try to do some math, but don't forget, up next, we've got the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so don't go away. welcome back to the Red Bull Ring. The season finale of the PRL Formula 3 Amateurs Series saw Robert Ridgway take his first win in the last opportunity. Behind him, the champion that was crowned last race, Kevin Santana, at least got himself a runner-up, moving from 5th to 2nd in the very first lap and stayed there the rest of the way. And the dreaded words for any race fan, post-race penalties, means that Dave Peterson has been bumped up into 3rd. He is the one who takes 2nd in the championship. We'll talk about the others that got bumped down in a little bit here. Sean Duhamel gets promoted up to 4th, and Joey Tebben has got to be feeling good, going from 21st with almost no practice up to 5th in today's race. James Holland was P6 with Tyler Gore finishing at 7th. Sebastian Coffret, that last bump on the last lap, the side-to-side contact put him over the incident limit, and he was given a drive-through penalty. He was unable to serve, which means he was pushed down to 8th. Vargas finished 9th, and Carter was 10th.
In 11th, it was Brian Hotham, followed by Takeshi Kita, who had a very up-and-down race here today. Matthew Gunderson was 13th, followed by Tyler Scarali and David Blackwood, with Donald Olson, your first car lap down. Behind him, it was David Hebert and Michael Broom ahead, who saw his 2nd place in the championship really get out of whack on the first lap. And Brett Accord and Christopher Richards round out your top 20, with Cadence Presley coming home in 21st.
That takes us to our winner today, Robert Ridgway. And Rob, you were talking on the forums about your disappointment after starting on the pole last round and kind of throwing it away. Does this one make up for it?
100%. I can't believe I stayed out there. I gotta give a big thank you to Coffret, because he's clearly the faster car out there today, but he messed up on that first lap.
Kind of a reverse situation from before, but you broke that duck. You got yourself a win this season. Does this take you into next season with the ability to carry momentum, or do you not really take those things into account from season to season?
Oh, I think from race 1 to race 10, it's been a lot of progression. So I'm really looking forward to the next season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, we're looking forward to it as well. Is there anybody that helped get you up to this top spot here today?
Hey, everybody, I got to thank my team. I got the Atomic Racing Crew, the Ridgway Racing Crew. Shout out to James Carter. Shout out to Colin Heffernan. Shout out to Coffret. Love you, buddy. Another shout out to Joey Tebben. Let me shout out the kids for not bothering me during the race. Matt and Tyler, thank you so much. And of course, the wife, thank you so much.
I love that. Pulling the Scott Pruitt, making sure to give a shout out to the friends and family, as we've got 2nd and champion Kevin Santana with DJ.
Well, Kevin, it wasn't a win today, but it was a win on the season in what can only be described as domination. How you feeling after a run here at the Red Bull Ring?
A little tired. Not one of my favorite tracks, even though it's the first time I've run here.
I hear that. I've never been able to master this one myself. It just looked like Robert was kind of in a league of his own. Was there anything you were sort of trying over the course of the race to catch him, or were you just sort of in a survival mode?
Yeah, props to Robert on the win. Good job, man. Yeah, I didn't have anything, so I just figured I'd just run the best I could and worry about the team championship.
Well, by my calculation, I think you guys took that, so it'll be a double championship for you. And that leads me to the next question, which is, are we going to see you and your teammate David Holland coming back next year to try to defend those crowns?
Depends on what PRL decides to do with me. They might think I won by too much and kick me up to the pro class.
Well, one way or the other, Kevin, I'm sure that you're going to be putting on a heck of a display for us. Anybody you'd like to thank for the 2nd place and, more importantly, the double championship here tonight?
Yeah, I couldn't have done the championship without the other 2 guys, without Jim and Dave helping out with that and their points.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Kevin, and congratulations again. That was your 2nd place finisher and championship winner this season, Kevin Santana. And now Joe Peak is caught up with the hard charger of the race, Joey Tebben.
Joey, that's got to be a phenomenal result for you. How are you feeling seeing that many positions gained?
I mean, it's been a trend for me this season, hasn't it? But this time, this was all my own fault. I couldn't really get any practice today because I just actually moved back into college and I'm on a new monitor. So I was moving in all day today, couldn't do any practice. I did one official race earlier in the week, but I had to readjust to a smaller new monitor. So my depth of field was all off. I spun or 1x'd every lap in qualifying, so I started dead last. But that kind of turned out to be a good thing because I avoided a little bit of the carnage on lap 1, and slowly but surely I found a little bit of pace, and with a penalty for Coffray at the end, I got promoted to the top 5, and I'll take it.
Don't blame me on that one. Well, knowing that, and with the season now turning over to the next one, I understand you not only have some new teammates coming your way, but it seems like you're on good form. Can you maybe clean up a few of the mistakes here and there and see yourself higher in the points come the end of the season?
How dare you insinuate that I've ever made any mistakes this season? But yeah, I think next season, if I can have some better driving and a little bit of better luck, I think I'll be able to hopefully fight for the top 5. Depends on what new drivers we get next season. But if I drove a little bit better and if I avoided a couple more incidents this season, I think I would be up in the top 5. I don't know what the final points are, but I don't think I'm going to be up there. But next season with Robert and Takeshi and James and Kenny and Colin, that's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully we can get a team's championship while we're at it.
Well, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to while we got you for one last time this season?
Well, of course, shout out to Acme Klein Bottle, the Marshall Pruitt podcast, and ASR, ButtKicker, SimMSA, Ninja Trader, RaceLab, all the PRL sponsors, all the GSRC stuff. And I'd like to give a shout out to the great Robin Miller. Robin was not the biggest fan of iRacing, self-admittedly, but he was always up for some interesting challenges and some funny iRacing events. I got him involved in one of them, and I'll treasure that forever. Robin Miller was incredible, and I think we all miss him, especially Marshall Pruitt, who I mentioned. He's on the car as well. So I guess I'll dedicate it to Robin in some sort of ironic way. I don't think he would care, but yeah, that's about it.
Thoughts definitely go out to his friends and family who are certainly mourning at this time, but we want to close out with some thank yous of our own, and that includes ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com, as well as RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. And ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. And SimMSA. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net. And finally, Ninja Trader. Visit ninjatrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lamont, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more awesome work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're down there so that you don't miss a moment. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.